scratch, wampum, dough, sugar, clams, loot, bills, bones, bread, bucks, money. Money is, at its essence, that measure.
Welcome to the Ozark podcast. I'm Jamie G. Esquire the Fifth. No, I'm sorry. Can't defend you in a court of law. He is Magnum Mills. And no, I'm sorry. He cannot help you pass your calculus exam. We are from the Joe Blow Football Show, and we're here to break down our hopes and predictions for season 4, part 2 of the Ozark finale, available on Netflix.
Thank you very much for watching us, and we just want to make sure that you know Jamie G is not Esquire like an attorney, but Esquire, as he did some role playing, in some medieval whatnot in France once upon a time. And again, thank you very much for watching the Ozark podcast. We are going to be back to cover season 4, part 2 when it gets here, but for now, we've already recapped all the episodes. We have our thoughts on season 1, part 4. So now it's time to wildly speculate and also try to accurately predict what we think will happen in season 4, part 2. Make sure you stick with us right here on the Ozark podcast. Again, find us on your favorite podcast streaming platform at Ozark Podcast, social media, all the good stuff, the Twitters, the Instas, the talks, and pics, and the whatnot at Ozark Podcast. We're from the Joe Blow Football Show at joeblowfootballshow.com and at Joe Blow Show. Jamie G, how are we going to go about breaking down our look at season 4, part 2?
Man, oh man. Well, I think we need to start where it all begins. And it also happens to be the beginning of the end. I want to start right at the flash forward car accident from episode 1, season 4, the beginning of the end. After seeing the first 7 episodes, how do you think that flash forward is going to play out as the show goes on here?
I think that I'm going to stick with my original prediction in that it's a little bit of a fake out. I'm saying that the Byrds are in a van, but I'm also saying a similar van with one person who's sacrificing himself and some cadavers or something. Somehow that's how they fake the Byrds' death to let them ultimately get away. And that's why they're happy, not necessarily because they're together, because they finally figured out a way to get out.
I absolutely love that. I'm going all the way out here. I thought about this numerous, all the nooms, like a bunch, dude, right? Like I thought about this a whole lot. I just want this to happen so bad that I'm manifesting it. I am going to put it into the universe, so therefore it exists. It would just be the perfect fitting for me as an end here. And that is the Byrds strike a deal with the FBI. They're out. Everything's okay. They're moving. There's a future on the horizon. They find their way out, and they are a normal family. And when everything seems to be done, just, no deed goes unpunished, good or bad. And I just think that's what ends up doing them in. Like, how wild would that be, dude, if that's how the show ends? Like, they are essentially out, they figured it out, everything worked out for them, they get to go and sail off into the sunset, and then they die tragically in a car accident. I love it. I can't get enough of it. And so therefore I am manifesting it into reality. And that's what I'm hoping for. And that's what I think is going to happen with the flash forward event. That's where I'm going, man. That's where my spidey senses are taking me.
We have discussed this before, I believe, maybe a little on Podcam and definitely off, but I would not be opposed to it. It would be very shocking, but also kind of, I guess maybe you could see it as them getting the comeuppance or whatever. I'm kind of there for that. As weird as, kill all of your main characters isn't generally the best way, but then it would be, I guess, a matter of, if that was the case, would you want to know why it happened? Did somebody have their brakes cut, or was it just really an accident? Then you kind of have to go down that rabbit hole a little bit. I would probably be okay with it as long as there was some sort of explanation, even if it was just an actual accident. But I want to kind of that part of me would want to, or at least have the show kind of allude to it one way or the other.
So, yeah, but you know what they could do? They could have Ruth come in at the funeral and like button it up and like be able to give you the background of what really happened or what she thinks happened, and you just watch Ruth at the end and that's how it ends. Like I would be satisfied with that, honestly, man. Like I'm a weird dude, I get it, but I would be satisfied with that.
Like I said, I could even live if it was random chance. We all take that risk every day, and that would be the irony of it, that they survived all the shit, then die in a car accident. But again, it's kind of like the ending of Sopranos. How much do you want to leave open to interpretation? And I think this is the kind of show I'm looking for a more concrete ending. I think if that's the way it ends, I'm okay with it. But I kind of want to know, the why and the how a little bit. Which I think the why be easy to figure out, and just the how. I want to just, have a little bit of assurance, basically.
100%. Now that we dealt with that, let's go through some of our hopes and predictions for part 2, season 4. What we're going to do here, Magnum Mills, is we're going to go through the main characters and discuss what we want each of them to end up doing and be, and then where we think they will actually end up. Let's start with a couple of the easier characters that maybe, aren't the mains here, and work our way up to the big 3. Magnum Mills, who do you want to start off with?
Let's start off with the guy that we all agreed was pretty cool, but hasn't really done anything yet. That's Mel Sat in the Private Eye. I have to think that they have plans for him. So, I mean, I think that's a pretty easy prediction. Is his role is going to be a lot beefier in part 2 than it was in part 1. There's no reason to set him up that way. Otherwise, as far as what I want to happen, it all kind of comes down to where you want, but there's definitely a part of me that's like, I want him to, to team up with somebody. I feel. I don't know if I want to say exactly who at this point before we go through the rest of the characters, but I feel that I want him to kind of go from kind of being, it seems like he's out for himself, to being on the squad somewhere.
Yeah, man, you got to be the captain of the yacht, but you got to be on the boat. For Mel, for me, bro, I'm gonna say, my hopes with him are that we get all of his background, because I think it's cool and there's a lot there, and we start to see his purpose. Whether that's, whatever it is he's doing, we start to see him unfold and not just be a shadow character, but play a main role here in something, at least one of the main storylines. That's my hope. My prediction is that we will get just that, and that he is going to be tied somehow to Omar and or Javi with the cartel moving forward, and that is going to be his involvement in one of the main storylines. Let's move on to the second character here, and that is Magnum Mills' favorite bull, who everyone wishes they had this guy in their life, and that's Jim Rattlesdorf. That's right, the Byrd's lawyer, the fixer. Maybe it's not Magnum Mills' favorite guy, but he does have an appreciation for a good lawyer fixer, and this guy plays it very well. For me, my hope with this one is that A, he bangs Wendy, and B, he takes Wendy to political highs never seen before, and doesn't necessarily have to be owned by Javi and the cartel. My prediction is he does in fact bang Wendy, but he is controlled and manipulated by the cartel and Javi, and it creates a dynamic tension that maybe Wendy can't trust him. And then how does Wendy operate without him? That could be very, very, very interesting.
I feel I'm on a similar wavelength here. I kind of like this again. Love a good fixer. Watch Michael Clayton, excellent fucking flick. And Jim, let's see here. I think that I would like to see ultimately Jim wind up being able to like finagle shit. So in a way, he becomes like the senator. Like he gets the other boy out, boom, he slides in as senator. He just seems like he'd be, right there in the world of politics. That would be right up his alley. Realistically, I think he ultimately kind of turns on the Byrds, unfortunately. He's a practical dude. We saw that last year when, he gave Marty up to Javi a bit. Even if, he didn't do it actively, if Javi put a gun to his head, he still gave him up. So there's no reason to think he won't do so in the future. Let's move on to the next character we have here. And I was thinking about who to go with, and we don't like the FBI plotline, so let's just Maya Miller. When she was introduced season 3, I thought she was going to be a formidable foe for Marty. She seemed somebody who could understand all of the financial whatnot that he does, that makes him so good at his job that we're told all the time. And man, her character's just been wildly inconsistent. I don't think it's on the actress. I think all the FBI characters have just been sub to a bad plot line. And if I had to call it, oh man, again, just don't kill a kid. But yeah, if I had to predict something, she winds up dead, unfortunately. And where would I want her to do? Like just basically like, or actually like arrest like real, like, not that the Birds are good people, but actually go get to do her job and do what she wants, and like arrest, bad people. That would be cool, and let her get out with her kid, because there's not been a lot of getting out on this show.
No, there really hasn't been a lot of getting out for Maya. For me, Magnum Mills, my hope is that she gets back involved. I think she's at her best when she's working with Marty, and maybe Marty goes out a little bit here and doesn't let Wendy know about this work that he's doing with Maya, because he believes that might be the key to saving his family one way or the other. And so I would really like to see them two back together, this time working more in unison. And I'd like to see her basically play a role in saving the Byrds. What I'm predicting to happen is this storyline gets grossly mismanaged again and sucks as a storyline, because this show just has not been able to get the FBI agent right ever in the history of the show. So I'm predicting more of the same. Let's move on to everybody's favorite bull. That's Sam Dermody. This guy is he's still in love with a stripper. I mean, I just, you gotta love Sam. He provides some really great, comedic presence and an element to the show that is desperately needed. My hope for Sam is that he continues to do Sam shit. My prediction is that he will, in fact, continue to do Sam shit. One last hope is that he doesn't get killed. Let Sam just be Sam. Dude's great. More of them. Appropriate times and place for him, but there's definitely a world in which you can get Sam involved in a couple of things and brighten up what's utterly a very dark show.
I hate to, but I'm pretty much on the I'm at least riding on the tracks that your train is on here. I would say my prediction for Sam, he lives. Just, he's kind of that guy no one's ever going to actually like bother to kill him, I don't think, unless it's purely accidental. So I think he's still, at the end, he's just running another shit business. I hope he goes to one of the casinos. He's down to his last $10 or something. He puts it in the slot machine, pulls the joint, bam, Wheel of Fortune, Saved by the Bell, whatever, MacGyver, whatever they got there, the theme slots. He hits the mega jackpot, bam, and then he gets into some sort of polyamorous relationship with multiple strippers, because, dude, why not? So go for it, Sam.
He's in love with a stripper.
Strippers, two, more than one. A
Let's move on.
A lot of Sam to go around, dude.
A lot of Sam.
As long as they agree to press him into a diamond when he dies.
100%. Would love to have him as a diamond. Let's move on to Frank Cosgrove Jr., as we like to refer to him as the Frankendick. That's right. This thing was shot off by Darlene Langmore. And man, oh man, something tells me here Frank is going to be a guy. My hope for Frank is that he starts running some shit with the Kansas City mob, and that he does so in a very strategic, analytical way. He's a guy now who can no longer rely on his, no pun intended, balls, and he really has to start thinking about his strategy here. And I like that. And I also hope that I see him, more with Ruth. I think there's something there, and that's a cool storyline that they should develop. I hope he brings some redemption to just a swing and a miss with the KC Mafia storyline here throughout the show. There's been some moments where it's been good, but overall, this was a miss for Ozark. They really didn't do it justice for me for what I wanted. What I'm predicting out of Frank Cosgrove Jr. is he does in fact work/align himself with Ruthie, that he does some shit here where he goes out on a ledge and feels like he's living for something with Ruthie. And my prediction is he dies saving Ruthie.
That's pretty good. And again, like what the actor's been doing here, I think this character, again, he's my most improved player in the season 4 part 1 here. Boy, I think I go with my prediction first. I think my prediction is that he takes the KC Mafia and they basically like step in to absorb the Snells. Whether it's they buy it, they take it over, the land, the heroin, the poppy. He sees the opening there. He's got some cash. Darlene's off the board. He moves in, swoops that, becomes a bigger player in part 2 here. That's the prediction, Frank. What do I really want from Frank Jr., I kind of want him to, after Ozark ends, cross over on to It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, where he hooks up with the original Frankenstein, Frank Reynolds, and they just do all kinds of ill Frank shit.
Yes, that would be so amazing. Frankenstein, dude, that would be the best, dude. Would absolutely love that. Let's go to Javi. Javi is a really interesting character. We talked about that. If you listen to our previous episode of this podcast on the Ozark podcast, where we did our season 4 part 1 wrap, we talked a lot about Javi. This guy is, as we know, Navarro's nephew. He's now the cartel head, but also a snitch to the FBI who did just murder Darlene Langmore and Wyatt. He has the wrath of Ruthie Langmore coming. He does not trust the Byrds, but will have to work with them. He has a strange affliction to want to bang Charlotte Byrd, and he is a total wild card. My prediction for him is that his ego ultimately destroys him. And that's all I got to say. He is going to have wild success, feel like he can do no wrong, and then he'll get a little too big for those bridges, and his ego will destroy him. My hope is that he remains just as big of a wild card now. And just like we saw season 4, part 1, the first 7 episodes, develop him into more and more and more of a wild card and more dangerous and more. I hope that they do the same thing here on the back 7. I really think that's a great character to have on the show, and it added a great dynamic we really hadn't had before out of that type of role that we saw with Del and then Helen.
Look, dude, Javi gonna die. I'd have to say my hope, I think it'd be kind of cool if Charlotte killed him. But my prediction, pretty easy, Ruth's gonna kill him. You know Ruth's gonna kill him. He killed Wyatt, she's gonna kill him. Ruth's gonna get him. You know, am I wrong? I'm not wrong. You know, just that's the one thing I know. You do not want to be Ruth's the new Darlene like that. You do not want to be on the other end of that shotgun. And let's go to the other cartel member here, Omar Navarro. He's behind bars. He's pissed off. Now he has no FBI deal, no cartel. What the fuck, dude? And man, what do I think with Navarro? I think he's going to die early in the season. That's my prediction. I don't think he makes it past, say, episode 3. What I would hope, honestly, that this was part of his plan the whole time. I hate that heist movie shit, but if they somehow retroactively made him be in on this to like get Javi in to pay off the FBI plot line, it would be shitty. But if it could somehow save that plot line, I think that would be the dream for me with Navarro. Because actually, I like the actor. I thought he was a pretty convincing. You know, you've seen throughout the years a lot of portrayals of these cartel guys. I thought he was pretty solid with it. So I don't want to, hate on that or anything like that. Just I think he had some shit writing to begin with. Thought he was really good this season, and I hope that. I don't want to string him out in jail for the whole season, but I think he goes hard early in that early part of season 4, part 2, makes it 1 to 3 episodes, leaves an impact. Hopefully, I don't think he takes out Javi, but I think he probably takes out somebody, or definitely does some damage before he goes out.
Yeah, I agree. We haven't seen the last of Omar Navarro. I guess my hope for him is we really get an understanding of. I thought one of the weaker parts of that. The end of season 4 part 1 was just how fast shit escalated here, between Omar making the deal to Omar being in prison to Javi agreeing to it. Just like, what's going on there, how Omar knew about there's just a lot, how he knew about the Byrd sending Jonah and Charlotte to Buddy's tomb. Like, there's just a lot of questions here. So I hope that we can make sense of his jail, his release, what role he's going to do. I agree with you. It may be killing Javi and getting back in the driver's seat. It may be Javi killing him. Something's going to happen, and it's going to be dramatic, and I'm there for it. My prediction is that he somehow, some way, he's not done with Wendy or the cartel. And that's what I think maybe he tries to double cross Javi, or before he can, Javi double crosses him. I think that, there's a chance that he does something to influence or hold a grip over Wendy. I don't know what yet, but those are what I'm leaning towards here as we look at Omar. Let's take a peek at one of the Byrd children. We got to talk about them both. Let's start with Charlotte Byrd. she is still not 18, but yet somehow Javi has some strange thing with her. It's very awkward to watch. I hope they don't continue to push that storyline because it wasn't necessarily fun or needed. But let's go to Charlotte. I think my hope for her is, I thought she took a step as a character this season as she started to kind of become a mini Wendy. And I like that. I thought this was the best utilization of Charlotte throughout the entire series. And I hope that we get to build on that this back half, this part 2 final 7 episode run of Ozark season 4. I hope that she plays a big role doing something and that she pulls off some Wendy shit that only Wendy can pull off. That's my hope. My prediction is just that. She is going to build on what's happened this season in terms of her role in the show and her following of Wendy. I think she's going to be there for Wendy when Wendy needs her. And I think she's going to pull off something big, whether with the pharmaceutical biz, something. She is going to play some sort of role. I just, we've come to the final 7 here with the kids. And I think they both emerge and do something. They've been involved in this thing since the fucking beginning. And I think it's time we see them both do something big. It's been building and building and building. And we've been basically, being peaked out here. I think it's time we've peaked. It's crowned. I'm tired of being edged. Let's just go ahead and climax with the kids here. I want to see them get to their highest point. That, boy, we should edit that out. I should never say climax with the kids in the same sentence. That's a horrible decision. However, I do think she reaches her pinnacle here.
Look, Charlotte and Jonah, I think, are a little bit of a package deal. If I had to guess, I'd say their fates are kind of intertwined. For what I want for Charlotte, I want her to steal some money, give it to Jonah, have him clean it, and for her to go like far, far, far away, go to California, go to college, change her name, never deal with any of these people ever again. That's what I want for you, Charlotte. Realistically, I think she gets deeper into the family biz. And like you said, I don't know if it's kill somebody, but she is going to do some Wendy level shit where she has to make a decision that she's not necessarily going to pull the trigger or something, but she's going to do something that she knows is going to, if not kill somebody, send them to jail or do something horrible to them, and then she has to live with that. So we did one. We got the Jonah now. Oh man, I've kind of liked where they've gone with Jonah. He seemed a little bit whiny coming out of the gate, but we've seen now that he is legitimately like, he's kind of the Doogie Howser of this money laundering shit. And we got, I think Disney Plus rebooted the Doogie Howser. HBO Max give us Jody Howser, whatever, money launderer. Like spin him off into that. I would watch that show. Realistically, same kind of thing. I think Jonah is going to probably get in trouble, is my prediction. It just, we've seen it kind of happen a little bit. Marty was there to bail him out. What happens if he makes one more mistake? Marty's not there to bail him out. There's a lot of pressure going on here. I don't know, and that, going back to the flash forward, maybe if his parents kind of bail him out, that's what gets him there. As far as what I want to happen, I kind of want Jonah to like just win then. Like he like out Marty like makes a deal with the cartel or goes full on just goddamn monster. Like, I'm better than Marty. I'm younger. I like with the cops thinking of us, no 14-year-old. What the fuck, man?
Dude, you could see it. You could see a world in which that happens. For me with Jonah, I am gonna say, my hope for him is that he's, they already went down this road with Jonah. We saw kind of who he's going to become with what happened in season 4, part 1. I don't think you can kind of just bury the hatchet here between Wendy and Jonah. It's going to take something major, and it's likely to drag out for the entire, back half of this part 2 season, 7-season episode here to close this thing out. So I see him kind of still continuing on this, and I hope that he aligns with Ruth. I think that happens, and I hope he stays close with Marty. He needs Marty for whatever it is he's doing, and Marty kind of keeps one hand on Jonah, but allows him to stand out on his own a little bit with what he's got to do for Ruth, against Wendy's wishes. And that's kind of what I hope. It's my prediction is that we're probably going to see Jonah. I just think he's going to either A, get in trouble, like you said, B, make a big, bold thing. He might have to kill somebody. We've been teased with it multiple times when he pulled the gun out, Buddy's gun way back and early in the, first couple of, we've been teased with this. He was going to kill Helen. Like, I think it's finally like the dude's been, torturing frogs enough to where he's ready to murder the guinea pig. Like, I think he's going to kill somebody in this episode, and it may be Javi, it may be somebody else, but I think Jonah plays some sort of big role with that.
Tortured frogs to murder guinea pigs. That sounds like a 90s punk ska album, but yeah, that could also be some Jonah.
Magnum Mills, that does in fact bring us to our big three, the three co-leads of the show. Look, we care about the Byrd's kids a bit, but let's be honest, we're here to we want to find out what happens to Wendy, Marty, and Ruth. Magnum Mills, why don't you kick us off with Wendy Bird? Hopes, predictions.
Hopes are easy. Wendy Bird for president. That's just she seems like, maybe she would buy, to make good for her guilt deep down or whatever, would go out of her way to help people and stuff. She does seem that ultimately she is coming from a good place, but she's also ruthless enough to maybe actually get things done. So I guess Wendy Bird for president. Realistically, I think that she crosses a line that really shakes her, and that kind of leads her back to her family a little bit. That she does something that just the result of it or whatever, when she wakes up or whatever it is, she just looks back and is like, all right, that was finally a line too far. We haven't seen it happen. I'm saying that she finally does cross that line and acknowledges like, holy fuck. Yeah, I shouldn't have done that. I'm going to have to make major changes. This can't keep going this way.
Wow. Magnum Mills. Will the unthinkable happen, and that she finally finds a line that was too hard to cross? I don't know. I'm not convinced, but it'll be interesting to see this development. My hope for Wendy Bird is just like you. Power at any cost. Ruler of the free world, right? And I do see her in a sense where you see her, where you believe her when she's talking to, Catherine Shaw with the pharmaceutical deal and being like, look, let's use all this negative for something positive. And that's getting drugs off the street and creating rehab facilities for people who are addicted. I mean, that's, addicted from, in part by just the push of pharmaceuticals, right? I mean, people get something happens, they start taking pharmies, next thing you know, they're addicted, and now they can't afford it anymore because insurance and whatnot, and so they go to heroin. This is the story of America, really. I mean, that we've seen this epidemic throughout all corners of our great land here in America. So I like that storyline, and I think that Wendy could use her power for some good, but power at any cost, dude. That's what I want to see out of her. Ruler of the free world. Prediction, I think she does whatever it takes to get through her crisis. And I think Wendy Bird, if there isn't a crisis, she will create a crisis out of her own insane ambition. And so I just think that it is going to be more of the same with her, and she does whatever it takes to get by, whatever that is, whatever that job, whatever that point, whatever that thing she's trying to accomplish. Of course, save her family, but sometimes I wonder, does she like living in this world so much because it's brought her all this power, all this money, all this clout politically? Does she really want it to end? Marty wants it to end. I'm not convinced Wendy does. Let's move on to Marty Bird. Bird is the word. Money laundering Marty. Marty is he getting too old for this shit? It feels like he is, man. Like he's having a hard time here. I mean, my hope is that his kids love him, respect him, and that they're safe. Whatever happens to Marty, whatever happens to Wendy, Jonah and Charlotte, yes, they're going to need some serious counseling and therapy, and that's okay. But I really hope that it's just he maintains a role as a loving father the only way he can, and it's not normal and it's not orthodox, but I hope that they know that he cared through all this, and it sucks really bad, but they somehow get out, and I don't think they will. My prediction is the van crash. He does everything right. He crosses every nook and cranny. He gets his family safe, and it wasn't enough. In the end, their deeds were punished.
And that fits, so I'll give you that. I'll start with my prediction kind of, and I'm going with the flash forward as a way for them to fake their deaths. So I think as part of the deal, when they fake their deaths, is Marty agrees to actually go to prison. He does the thing he didn't want to do, and he ultimately takes the bullet for the family so the rest of them can go into witness protection or whatever. he finally steps up and, does what he's got to do and takes that deal that was offered to him a while ago. What would I like Marty to do? Realistically, I would love for him to somehow come out of this and become the GM of a sports team. He's got all this analytical ability. He can figure out how to work salary caps and shit. Yeah, I would want him managing the salary cap of my favorite sports franchise. So yeah, like put Marty in a front office somewhere, let him do what he's good at. He's supposed to be incredibly good at all this shit. He can be figuring out all the moves the other teams are making and everything. Sign Marty Bird up for the front office of your favorite franchise. And, we saved it for last, but not least, certainly. And that's, got to go with the notorious RUTH. Are you with me? The Ruth rules everything around me. Prediction at the end of the day, Ruth's the boss bitch. She's in charge somehow of this, like she is running the Ozarks. What I want is either that. I either want her in charge of the Ozarks if that's what makes her happy, or if she wants to go like live on an island or whatever and fuck off, that makes her happy. So Ruth being happy is what I want, but I think her being the boss bitch is what will make her happy. So I'm hoping those two things align.
Ruth rules everything around me, baby. Look, man, for me with Ruthie, she, obviously we want the best for her. I'll start with my hope. My hope is that she finds, well, let's start with that she gets her revenge. I hope that Ruth does whatever it takes and gets every ounce of revenge she wants. And if that's killing Javi in the most brutal, way possible, whatever that is, I hope she gets her revenge, which leads her to love and happiness. Like I really want Ruthie to feel loved and have love and be happy. She deserves it, man. She really does. Like she's been through a lot. And that's the one thing I want for her. But I also want her to somehow be a mogul, like you said, running the Ozark, as long as she's got love and happiness. And maybe that's somehow, some way, her and Frank Jr. get married. And she's now helping him run the KC mob and the Ozarks. And like, boom, like that's a good fit. Like, I don't know, but I really want that for her. My prediction is that she gets it and more. My prediction is that she's the last person standing. She gets everything that was supposed to come to her and more.
Real
Ruthie,
quick, a little bit of a a gun to your Special Agent Johnson there. At the end of this, Ruth's running it all. She has her own casino. What is Ruth's casino named?
Ben's Bucks.
Ooh, Ben's Bucks. I was going to say, it's nice that you brought Ben in there. I was going to be something a little bit more sounded like Long Bottom Langmores or something with Langmore. I think Langmore's got to be in there, like Lucky Langmores or something. Could
it be Three's Company or Wyatt's Revenge? Or,
it's funny, we didn't even bring up Three. I just hope he lives. Let's just say that. Like Three Langmore, you're like 6 feet tall now. Maybe you're the dude starring in the new Jack Reacher series. I'm not sure, but yeah, dude, you looked older than Wyatt last time we saw you. Seriously, dude.
You're 40.
Run, dude. Run. You should be old enough to have a license by now. Just get as far away from the Ozarks as possible.
100%.
Or 300%. If you will. This was a nice season of television. I really enjoyed this. I think it's a show that's been getting better every season. I'm glad you got me into it. I'm glad that we've been podcasting about it. I'm glad that you have been listening to us. We are going to be back, like I said before, to cover season 4, part 2. Probably again, we'll do a little bit of a preview joint. We had a couple trailers, something like that. We also might do a couple of Ozark adjacent podcast. Maybe we go back, look at a couple of characters, a couple episodes. Maybe we look at movies that these characters have been in. I may or may not be looking for an excuse to watch and review Congo. We'll see if that's the case. No matter what way it goes, you can just find all of our stuff by searching for the Ozark podcast on your favorite podcast streaming platform. We're on social media, the Twitter, the Instagram, the Facebook, all the good ones. At Ozark Podcast. We're from the Joe Blow Football Show. You can find the Joe Blow Football Show at joeblowfootballshow.com. The Joe Blow Football Show is also on the social medias, all the good ones, at Joe Blow Show. I'm Magnum Mills. That's Jamie G. This has been the Ozark Podcast. We really enjoyed talking to you. Again, if you could, please give us a comment. If you have any feedback, just hit us up at ozarkpodcast@gmail.com. Please, just hit that little like button, the thumbs up, the heart, whatever it is. We really appreciate it. Helps us out a lot. We've really enjoyed this. Jamie G, say something for the people right after I tell you that even if you put your money in a washing machine, it's still not really clean.
Thank you so much for following the Ozark podcast, listening to yours truly, Jamie G, Esquire, the 5th MD, Master of Surgical Arts, and the main man, Magnum Mills. We appreciate you. We love you. This has been the Ozark podcast. We'll see you on the flip side.
If you've learned nothing else, know that if you win a game of operation, you get a certificate that says you're a master of surgical arts.
This has been the Ozark podcast, presented by the Joe Blow Football Show. We are not in any way, shape, or form affiliated with Ozark, MRC, Aggregate Films, or Netflix. This show is for entertainment purposes only. Any views or opinions expressed here are personal and do not represent those of people, institutions, or organizations who may or may not be associated with the Joe Blow Football Show. If you have any questions, please contact us at ozarkpodcast@gmail.com. That's ozarkpodcast@gmail.com. Thank you for listening. Please remember to like, subscribe, and comment.
I'm so fucking focused.